Couldn't make it last Sunday? Here's a recap just for you on this Sunday Snapshot.
So I thought of a movie about last night, 1986. Remember that? I graduated, I think, from college in 1986. I'm getting kind of to the point where I don't want to talk about that. But the movie about last night with Rob Lowe, and he's kind of a rascal. He's not that sophisticated. And he falls kind of smitten for this young woman who's well-to-do. She has a family, lives in a great neighborhood, and goes over to a dinner party. And so the host and hostess, the mom and dad of this young woman, have a bunch of people there, and she invites this young man over, and they start having a dinner party. You can relate, right? You live in Naples, and you got this big table, and they start talking about things. And then when it gets to something salacious, when it gets to be gossip, when it gets to be rumors, something interesting happens. Someone begins and says, well, did you hear about the Larsons? Divorce. And the person whispers, divorce. And everyone says, And some people say, I'm not surprised. Then have some more wine, some more victuals, and then someone says, did you hear about the doctor's son? No, what? Drugs. Whispers the word drugs. And then, hey, did you hear about Ruth Anderson? No, what's wrong? Cancer. And whispered cancer. Well, some things pass, and all of a sudden, one of the persons at the dinner party looks at this young woman, and the person Rob Lowe was playing and said, well, how did you two kids meet? And Rob Lowe's character is, he doesn't seem like the brightest bulb, but he's figured out how everything works. And he said, how did we meet? Prison. And he whispers the word prison because he figured out that everything that's gossip, everything that is salacious, everything that is untoward, you want to whisper so no one can fully hear. But if you wear black and you are at night and you go to somebody's back door, you're probably a thief. I bring this up because it's not false. You ever walk up on somebody and all of a sudden they're saying in hushed tones? We say things in hushed tones so other people don't hear. And I was taught that if you wouldn't say it to the person's face, then you shouldn't say it when their face is not there. I also think that this typifies, at least myself, I'm 100% Norwegian, proud of it, is that we are a little bit emotionally not available at times because we don't say our feelings. My father ran the household. Whatever he said went. We could not argue or debate or even say that we didn't like what he instituted. We kept it to ourselves. And we shoved it down, and we decided about 10 to 20 years later, we'd go to a therapist and tell that fine person how we felt about it. Because that's how Scandinavians do things. Because you say it in hushed tones. Are you confident about yourself? You hurt my feelings, you hurt my feelings. Or you didn't do this correctly, etc., etc. That's why we begin with confession and forgiveness over here. Usually with Deacon Jim, we start by saying, I did it. And God says, I know, I was there, I saw it. And then we say, sorry. And God says, it happens. And see you next week. And we'll do it all over again. It's kind of like Ole and Lena. It's been a long time. I've been here almost 2 years. Never said an Ole and Lena thing. It's about time, don't you think? Ole loved Lena, and they were going to get married, and so he looked at her before the ceremony and said, Lena, I need you to know that I love you with all my heart, mind, soul, and strength. And number 2 is if I ever change my mind, I'll let you know. And of course, implicit in that story is that Ole was never going to tell her, I love you again, because he said it. We have to be more confident in our thoughts and feelings, but also when we say it, can we mean it and can it be heard? So, Oli had 2 points. So do I. Point number 1, a fool says all is well when not all is well. It's okay to not be okay when you're not okay. I'm fine. How often do you hear that? Especially from people in the Midwest. I'm fine. Maybe the East Coast people will tell you a little bit more. I've kind of figured that out. When you ask, you might want to hold on. But for those in the Midwest, especially the Scandinavian, they'll say, I'm fine. You know what the deal is? When someone says that, it usually means that person is not fine. Because I'm not good and I'm not terrible. I'm somewhere in the middle, and I'd rather not talk about it, so I'm fine. And it's totally fine to not be fine if you're not fine. Follow? Aside from the fact that I love iteration, I mean every word I've said thus far. I've had some fun about the fine and not fine, but I mean every word. Name it, claim it, and get over it. I learned that from my Italian wife. Name it, claim it, get over it. I'll say it again. Name it, claim it, get over it. In any family therapist, well, did you ever tell your husband? Did you ever tell your wife? You ever tell your kids that these were your expectations? No, I thought they knew. You ever tell them that you made mistakes? No, I thought they knew. Name it, claim it, get over it. Now, the get over it takes some time, but if you don't know where you're going, how do you know if you ever get there? And if you don't have a target, how do you know? People will come into my study over all these decades, and they'll talk about their marriage or their kids, and they'll say something, and I'll say, have you ever had, deep conversations about this? No. Why would I want to do that? Well, because you have to name it, claim it, and get over it. I think God made us in such a way that we feel better when we face our truth. This is what I feel, this is what I think, this is the pain, and this is the joy in my life. Today is hard and sad and difficult. Every light indicates sadness. Now, I've said this last year, and you people are remarkably orderly. Look at this. The last congregation I came from, they were strewn all over the place. They just didn't follow everything, and everyone here is I wanted to actually, this was mine from my late mother, so I wanted to put it over here, just because I'm that kind of guy. But I make you laugh because I'm going to go for your gut. And that's what you do. Every candle up here is someone who's important to you that you miss. And I didn't think of this, but I brought this to Naples because in 1999, I took my first call as a senior pastor at Mount Calvary Lutheran Church, and they said, you're the new boss, so you can do whatever you want, but you cannot change how we do All Saints worship. And I said, well, what do you do? And they said, well, we light candles in the worship service. And I said, that sounds really Catholic. Not against it, but it seemed very Catholic. And we were Lutheran. They said, we do it, we like it, don't mess with it. I was born at night, but not last night, and so we're going to do it. It was 1999, and my grandmother, Grandma Lillejord Adeline, who was not very sweet, died, but I loved her. And I went up, and I lit a candle, and I was 35 years old, and my father had been the pastor, my mom had been the organist, and I'd never had a service in the Lutheran Church on All Saints Sunday when we did that, and I thought it was awesome. And the next year, my mom died. Now, if you don't know me, you're going to know that my mother, I say with all sincerity, judge me, I don't care, don't judge. When I get to heaven, there's going to be my mother and Jesus, and I look at Jesus and say, can I come back to you? I want a hug from my mom. Jesus will understand. I am what I am because of my mother. My fiber of my emotional network, my mother loved me, I think, as much as Jesus himself. And I had to go up and I had to light a candle, and I was like a bad Christmas tree. I was falling over. I was a mess, and the people at Mount Calvary held me up. I was the leader, but because my mom had died and I had to light that candle, I was a mess. And I thought, this is why we light a candle. Because this guy, 100% Norwegian, who says, I'm fine, was not fine. You pick up when I'm laying down? Then the next year, my uncle died, to whom I was close, and I thought, we got to stop this. But you can't stop it, right? It comes to us. And when life is hard, it's important for us to come forward and say, I'm sad because I miss fill in the blank. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to be okay. There's a time and a season for both. I lit a candle 25 years later for my mom, and I'm just fine. I miss her, but I feel better because I've lit a candle time and time and time. Name it, claim it, get over it. Point number 2, we're all in this together. Grief Share. Some of you know that there's a program called Grief Share, which is one word. I put a space there because I don't want to get sued. I don't have time. So it's Grief Share. We all spend some time in a metaphorical emotional prison, going back to we met in prison. But all of us spend time in the prison. My spouse died, my parent died, my sibling died, our child died, my and our friend died. I don't know every story up here, and I could light a lot more candles. But that's what's here. And we thought it would be important that we sit here and face it. It's fine to not be fine. It's fine to have part of your life not be fine, and the other part, love my kids, miss my mom. But we can't just ignore it because it doesn't go away. The way it goes away is we give it away to God, but also we continue, if you will, to light a candle, metaphorically and literally. And then we hear or we say to people, I'm sorry and my condolences and how long ago and how are you doing? Is there anything I can do to help? Memorize these because you know what? People who are pros like me, this is what we say. There's no magic solvent. We don't have some kind of algorithm. We don't say something. They don't teach us in seminary to take away the pain. These are the things that we say. These are the things we hear, we hope. And then it's nice to have someone ask, stick around for the answer, and not run away or quickly change the topic. Here's the thing, after all these decades, we in America in particular, and we who go to a funeral, tend to say, I'm really there for you, and is there anything I can do? But in 4 months' time, we probably don't ask the widow or widower exactly how they're doing because we don't know how to handle it. But we don't have to handle it. It's not ours to fix. I can be in a room with someone who's actively dying with their kids and other family members. I am not going to make that seem good. But I can ruin it. I can make it more complicated. Thank you for just listening, remaining with me. I love that you're not responding with a preponderance of words, fixes and solutions, and pithy sayings. My word, when I used to go to the wake and I would stand by the family members and I would listen to these people coming through and they would say these things, oh, sweet baby Jesus, did I want to say, just stop it. God needed another angel. Don't ever say that to a parent whose child has died. You feel me? And I've heard it from well-intentioned, educated people who love Jesus and say, God needed another angel. Okay, your child dies and someone stands in front of you and says, God needed another angel? You don't think God has enough angels? Are you kidding me? Right now. I've heard it handfuls of times. Well-intentioned, not helpful. Everything happens for a reason. Really? I can tell you all the young adults that I've buried. I can tell you all the college students that I've buried when they're coming from working at a nursing home so they can pay to go to college, and a drunk driver comes and runs into them and they die. And I look at the mom and dad and say, well, everything happens for a reason. I better duck. Punched in the nose. You got it all figured out? I don't have it all figured out. God never closes a door without opening a window. Well, here's me. I really don't care if you leave through the door or the window, but can you please leave? And I'm saying this because I'm sensitive. I'm saying this because there are things to say and not to say, and we can't fix it. We can't make it better. If they're sitting on the floor and they're weeping, you sit on the floor and you hold their hand. What can you possibly say? Your business fails, and then all of a sudden you say, well, you know what? Study says 8 or 9 out of 10 businesses fail. You probably did something wrong, and hopefully you can learn so the next time you don't make the same mistake, or these things happen. We are literally in the same boat, my friends in Christ. Our storms appear in different forms, past, present, or ominous dark clouds on the horizon. We are all in this petri dish together. We all have sadness and pain. We all have many blessings. We're called to walk alongside others who need a shoulder to lean on. Do not let your hearts be troubled. John 14, 1 through 6. I probably would say 98% of the time when people say pick out a passage for a funeral, I pick that. Because Jesus really didn't talk about heaven a lot, and so it's kind of important when he dug down. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many rooms. And if I go and I prepare a place for you, I will come back again, and I will take you to where I am so we can hang out. And you know where I'm going. And Thomas says, well, we have no idea where you're going, so how can we know the way? And Jesus says, oh, silly, silly, silly. You know me, just follow me. Actually, I'll just walk beside you and make sure you get there. I can't tell you there's a great reason for your loss. But we all act surprised when we get old, don't we? Like, how'd that happen? We all act as if it's a surprise that we're going to die someday, but we all know it. We just would rather not talk about it, like all the other things we don't talk about, we don't plan for. I like it when people come to one of the pastors and it's before they're sick and they'll say, I planned my funeral and I planned this and I paid all the bills and I know we're going to have a potluck and we're going to have pizza or I don't want to have pulled pork and here you go. So I don't make anyone go through all that because I know someday I'm going to die. But I don't want them to be in that heap of hurt, at least planning. It's name it, claim it, and get over it. My late mother had multiple sclerosis all my life with her. She went in St. Paul, Minnesota to be trained by Paul Montz, this famous Lutheran organist. She was phenomenal. And then multiple sclerosis took away her ability to play. She taught elementary school in Hopkins, Minnesota, and she couldn't teach anymore because she was ill and she could hardly walk. And so when she died, even before she saw our first child, I go to the funeral, and the pastor says, do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many rooms. And I thought, my mom, who used to be a drum majorette, she used to run and play sports, and she couldn't. All of a sudden, she's in heaven, and she can run, and she can sprint, and she can play the organ, and all of her fingers and her dexterity's back, and she is 25 again. And all of a sudden I think I'd rather have her here with me to grow old, but she's with Jesus in a way that I'm not. And someday when I go, and that day is going to come, I'm going to go there and she's going to look at me and she's going to say, welcome home, son. Welcome home. Wait till you get a load of what I have behind this curtain waiting for you. The The point, brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of those who have no hope. The thing is, we are sad just like everybody else. There are people who will say, "No, I'm fine," at their spouse's funeral. No, you are not fine. You don't have to hold it together. But as the community of Christ of Emmanuel Lutheran Church, when we are brothers and sisters in Christ, we walk beside them and we help them. And metaphorically, you begin as a crawl. Then you stand up, and then you take a few steps, and then you walk, and then you can run. And sooner or later we see the sun shining again. I wouldn't do what I do for a living as long as I've done it if I didn't realize there's a resurrection and people realize that as much as I miss my spouse, as much as I miss our child, as much as I miss all my dear friends, my brothers and sisters, literally and metaphorically, I know exactly where they are, in a perfect place, where there's no multiple sclerosis, where there's no cancer, where there's no dementia, where there's no chemo treatments. There's nothing but perfect happiness and harmony until we go. And somebody comes up and lights a candle with our name on it. This is a day for us to look around and realize we're in the same boat. But just like that story, when Jesus was on the boat and everyone got afraid and Jesus says, "You're in my boat," do not be troubled. It's not troubling. There are things that are troubling, but do not be troubled. We could go over the English difference of troubled and troubling, and my late mother and father in heaven, who are English majors, would say, "Go get him, David." But my team does play on national television today, and I get to see them, so I got to get going. Because not all of our life is full of sorrow or full of tears. Because we have joy and we have happiness, because God showers that upon our life as well. But before you leave today, as you walk out, you realize that there's this sadness. This sadness is still here next week. So may we be kind with one another, and understanding that all of us have some sadness. But we also have some joy and gratitude. All Saints' Day. A good day. A hard day. But aren't they all? So help us God. Amen.
Thanks for watching this week's Sunday Snapshot. Please give us a like, share with family and friends, and subscribe for more of what Emmanuel has to offer.